What is smart? Is it a genius IQ? Or is it a groundbreaking artist? The meditating monk? Or those who fiercely take what they deserve? Or this £16 smartwatch from Aliexpress? Well, with 97.6% positive feedback and an average star rating of 4.7, apparently so. Say hello to Mini Einstein. She boasts Bluetooth cooling, music control, real-time news pushing, fitness tracking from heart rate to sleep, and even blood oxygen levels. That's right, blood oxygen levels. Letting you in. And it does all this for both Android and iOS. But surely for £16 this cannot be true, so let's find out. Here is the box she comes in. It's pretty bare bones, but it has a decent glossy finish. It's proudly wearing its specifications, as you can see. Notably, there's a QR code on the side that we're going to need to use to get the app. Inside, we've got the charger, we've got the strap, which is actually pretty good quality. We've got the smartwatch, and we've got this little manual. It even comes with the screen protectors. The watch is lighter than expected, but not made with horrific plastics, though they're not the best either. She'll definitely survive a drop or two, which it does look like has already happened a little bit. You've gotta love AliExpress. The heart rate monitor definitely looks legit. Look at our Mini Einstein here, she's shiny underneath. The strap is a bit of a nightmare to put on, with bigger fingers, but that's alright. At least you know she's not going to be falling off anytime soon. She looks legit. Let's get her turned on. First things first, let's scan the QR code. This is where the fun really begins. Stage 1, connect, giving all your personal information to China. Stage 2, be greeted by the enthralled community and their reviews. I quote, I should have never bothered, and very disappointed. Stage 3, download the Harai Fine app. Stage 4, create an account with them to ensure you've definitely hindered national security. And Stage 5, lie about your body metrics to make you feel better. Now you're going to want to make sure that you are connected via Bluetooth, which was a surprisingly well optimized and incredibly painless process. You are now in business, free to live out the rest of your life with Mini Einstein. So the first thing I did was take her to the gym with my Fitbit on the other side so we could test the metrics and see how they compare with each other. Turns out it didn't track anything, so I figured I'd go in the settings and try and troubleshoot. There's a big note to be had here. The app uses ads, which I guess kind of makes sense given it's £16, so I would imagine this is where they'd planned to make their money, but it is pretty annoying. So I reconnected the Bluetooth and we're now getting a feed somewhat consistently of the steps we're doing. It's definitely working at least. When you look at this thing, the display is relatively HD, and for £16 it's surprising. It responds well enough to touch for it to be usable, but works about as well as you'd expect. The OS on the device is pretty solid, to be fair, no overt lag and easy to follow. You've got a few design options, which is nice. From this Apple knockoff to grid style, I went with the grid in the end because frankly the touchscreen isn't ideal and tends to move in blocks as opposed to one smooth movement. You can rotate between a handful of home screen options, all of which look pretty good and offer different applications. You have this black and white fitness menu, 2 different clock designs, an in-depth fitness option, as well as this multicolored clock. The app hub contains all that was originally marketed, and swiping through the interface is intuitive, if a bit clunky. It's not a brutally far cry away from the options that dictate the market, but you're getting what you pay for. As good as it is so far, we start to see some of the fundamental problems when we're searching for real-world utility. Throughout the first couple of days, I figured the heart rate was near enough to at least be working in reference to what my Fitbit usually says. It was definitely a bit high, but we're not expecting pinpoint accuracy. However, shocking reveal, it's actually just fake news. This was confirmed as I ran the tests without it attached to my wrist, and we started getting heart rate, blood oxygen levels and blood pressure levels without it being attached, which, to be fair, I kind of saw coming, and it did a good enough job pretending to where it did catch me for the first couple of days. I also have no reference point for what my blood oxygen level normally is, so I just sort of agreed with it. Side note, I did have a problem where it kept turning the language to Spanish. no bueno. But the step and calorie count were working, albeit unreliably. It didn't seem to be completely fabricating it. My Fitbit is hardly the thing to be heralded when it comes to step count, but generally when this thing was working, and we'll get into more of that in a bit, it was close enough. I wanted to really put them to the test, so I went on a run and I used the Apple Health metrics, I used the Fitbit, and I used the Mini Einstein. I ran 6.7k, and here are the results. The Fitbit clocked in 6,230 steps, and you get the added benefit of having zone minutes, so it could see my heart rate and said I was in the fitness zone. It claims that I burned 700 calories. Mini Einstein came in at 3,591, claiming that I ran 1.3k and 56 calories. The Apple Health app claimed 5,400 steps, and on Strava 746 calories. So that's pretty similar to the Fitbit. They seem to generally be within about 10% of each other. Unfortunately, Mini Einstein is in a different planet. This was not a surprise, as whilst I was running, I kept getting a constant disconnecting vibration from the smartwatch, which was a theme throughout this entire week of me wearing it, especially given the fact that it is in my pocket, which means it's only centimetres away from the phone. So last night was the first night that I've slept with the watch. Not in that way. The thing it's really guilty of is I went to the toilet halfway through, as most people do. And as soon as you get any sort of distance away from the phone, start vibrating, flashing. It really wasn't like the most peaceful thing I've ever experienced. You are massively on a budget. This thing is only 40 quid and clearly is a lot better when it comes to fitness. But a smartwatch encompasses a lot more than this does, so as the week drew on, I figured I'd test a few more stuff. So we continued to go through life together. We watched 65 in the cinema, which is cool because there's dinosaurs. We got a Nando's, we watched my girlfriend go show jumping. The battery life is solid, she charges quickly, and although she's just above half the battery capacity of most of the others in the market, Mini Einstein will easily last you a day and sometimes a half, just because of that less demanding processing power. It's also clear that these sleeping metrics are entirely fabricated. Claims to have accumulated a general idea of my blood oxygen levels and my blood pressure throughout the week on the app, which again has ads and is pretty annoying. Though despite this, the app is pretty comprehensive. It's not laggy, it's not made to an obviously bad standard. You can conduct a lot of the controls that you have on the phone on the app. It is pretty solid. So on day 4, I figured we'd give some of those extra applications a go on Mini Einstein. The stopwatch works great, as does the calculator. I'd say that's pretty smart. Also, the Find My Phone is brilliant. I really didn't think that would work on an Apple phone. I had zero luck with the music, phone calls, and whatever on earth this photography mode is supposed to do. My guess would be that it belongs in the camp with the blood oxygen levels, although I could be wrong about that. So at the time of recording, it's been a couple weeks. These gadgets, which are often copycats from Aliexpress, tend to fall into certain camps. First one is their products that are cheap and subsequently suck. These ones are a no-go. And Lord knows there is a lot of those on Aliexpress. The £30 camera review comes to mind. The second one are the products that low-key kind of work. They do the fundamentals well. They don't have a lot of those really high-end features, but those features are niche anyway. They're good to market, but most people don't use them. And you find that actually this camp is usable for early professionals or maybe for kids. The Zooded V8 DJI mic knockoffs come to mind here. And then you've got Camp 3, which is pretty damn rare. You've got the genuinely purposeful bargains. They've got the cheaper construction, as does everything with the cheaper price tag, but they're basically doing the same thing. A good example of this is the mini LED light I've done a video on. You're not going to want to drop it too hard, but she's going to do what you need it to do. So initially I was going to rinse this thing, especially after seeing like the dodgy step count and seeing the fake blood oxygen levels. I figured, you know what, I think this is a Camp 1 situation. But you know what, after spending the week with it, I think this is pretty firmly in Camp 2. Particularly for a youngster who just wants to play. Look, it's obviously not an Apple Watch, despite what the marketing might want you to believe. And anyone that thinks that the Apple Watch is that overpriced is kidding themselves. The Apple Watch has pretty immense utility, particularly for the people who want to get those health metrics, want to get them as accurate as possible. I even know people who have bought them for their parents so that they can monitor them in case anything does go wrong with their health. And besides the obvious integration benefits such as the music and the calling that does work, unlike the Mini Einstein here, they are very, very robust, like basically all Apple products, and it's going to last you a long time. And so to millions of people, those features are worth the money. So if you actually buy this and you think it's going to be remotely to that level of refinement, you're going to end up within that community of people that are in the comments for this app. And to be fair, with the amount of drop shipping that happens nowadays, those people may have paid quite a premium for this product that's not necessarily worth it. But if that stuff doesn't matter to you, you are just getting a few smart features on a watch. And it's 16 quid. I'm actually not mad at it. It's obviously a bit but it's also kind of cool.